Hello and a very good evening and welcome to the Hemden Netball Show for another Wednesday night. Great to have your company, and I'll tell you what, we're getting towards the business end of the season. 6 rounds to go and then we're talking all things finals. Looking forward to it. So much to play out in the Open Division Netball competition, that is for sure. Trish Butters returns in the co-hosting seat. Great to see you back, buddy.
Thank you. Finally back. Since I've been away, Tooter's started coming over my shoulder. I'm a bit worried about that.
Just keeping an eye on doing the right things. Obviously, we've had some great fill-ins. Obviously, Josie Logan came in a fortnight ago. We had Nadine McNamara, and I'll tell you what, she's a natural as well. We'll get her back to co-host. But great to have you back. And, gee, the netball's been good.
Absolutely been good. It's tight, isn't it? And, you know, like the 5 maybe set, Hamilton, I think, have still got a mathematical chance of getting in, but they're certainly going to shape it.
Absolutely. Hey, we've got a couple of great guests tonight too. A couple of the real premier players of the competition. I speak of Casey Barling from the Croydon Saints and Maddie Vardy from the North Warrnambool Eagles. And we're going to go to the Zoom and catch up with Casey Barling first. And Case, thanks for joining us on the Netball Show. Great to have your company.
No worries. Thank you for having me.
Hey, first and foremost, you must be liking with the way your guys are going at the moment, playing a nice brand of netball. It's a tight competition. Sitting inside the top 3, you know, things are going pretty swimmingly for you guys at the moment.
Yeah, it's going good. As you said, I haven't really seen the ladder like that, the top 5 being so tight and almost set. But yeah, it's exciting. We've been sitting, you know, sort of 2nd or 3rd for most of the season, which is a great place to be.
Yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it, at the moment? Like, I think it's about 2 points separating 2nd from 5th, and yeah, you can't afford to drop anything. You can't afford not to have a full team on the court. And so how is your lineup going? I know you've had a few injuries yourself, Casey.
Yeah, well, speaking of having a full team, I don't think we've had a full team, honestly, yet this season. We've had, and I'm sure a lot of clubs are the same, had, you know, illnesses, injuries. We've got some basketballers. There's pros and cons to that, though. We're still sitting, you know, in that 3rd spot considering. So it's been hard to get consistency with that, but we're still obviously playing great netball and still competing. So hopefully, you know, this tail end of the season, we can really knuckle down and hopefully keep a full side healthy and yeah, finish strong.
Hey, Casey, what I love about your lineup, we know what we get each and every week from you experienced players, yourself, you know, Nell Mitchell, Rachel Dobson, these sort of players. But I just love what the young guys have brought, the young girls have brought to your team. You know, Layla Monk's emerging even more, young Mia Mills, Molly McLaren. Like they come in, they play their role, and they play, you know, a nice brand of netball.
Yeah, it is great. It's such an important balance to have some experienced players, but the young ones, keeping me young, they're great. I think Millie Jennings is just such a good player to watch. I would honestly say she's probably leading our best and fairest at the moment. She's just so consistent, works so hard. Wing defense, having a good wing defense is so vital, and she just goes for the whole 4 quarters. And yeah, but all the girls step up so well, and hopefully, you know, come finals, yes, the experienced heads may be used to that, the nerves and that sort of thing, but I think these girls have definitely got it in them, you know, mentally and physically to make it all the way through. So yeah, it's a good balance.
Yeah, you talk about Millie Jennings, and I know the day I saw you play against North, and she's just an X factor, isn't she? You just can't put a ball. You can't put a bad pass anywhere near her, and she seems to pick it off. And I even watched her on the weekend at our Association Champ final. So she's one of our 17 under players, and played against the Open team for a while. And you know, they were looking, so who is this girl? She would just come from nowhere. She's got that uncanny ability to read the play really well.
Yeah, and just taking balls that you just think they're going out, honestly, and then she just somehow gets to them with such ease. And you know, she always keeps her feet, and that's really important too. So yeah, really good to watch.
Hey, Casey, you speak about, you know, the closeness of the competition, like, and as Trish said before, there's 4 points separating 3rd, which you guys are in, and obviously in 5th, where the Blues are in. You guys have got a big game against the South Warrnambool Roosters this weekend at home. No doubt you always look forward to playing these games, but it's such an important game, just I guess with North Warrnambool really having a great sort of last few weeks and putting the pressure on to get inside the top 3.
Yeah, exactly why I'm wanting to get back for my first game this weekend, because we've got South and then we've got Cobden. It's just it's a tough 2 weeks, and it could see us, well, it could hopefully see us go up the ladder, but it could see us drop to 5th. You just don't know. So a huge game. We didn't play well against them the first round, but you'd hope that this far into the season that we've improved a lot, and we have. And got a bit of a different lineup as well going into this game. So it'll be really exciting to see that unfold against them.
Yeah, it'll certainly be an interesting game because, as you say, you have not had the same team from one week to the next. I think South have probably been the team that have had the most stability. I think I'm pretty fair in saying that right throughout the season, and sitting nicely on top of the ladder, but also that helps them build momentum as they go. And it'll be a great game to see, to be honest.
Yeah, it will be good. I think, it's at home at Croydon. I don't know what the weather's looking like, but hopefully it's good and we can get a few people out there to watch.
Yeah.
Hey, Casey, really appreciate your time tonight, joining us on the Netball Show. Best of luck for the weekend. Great to see you back in the lineup, and best of luck for the rest of the season before we hit a very, very interesting and, I guess, highly exciting final series.
No worries. Thanks, Trent. Thanks, Trish.
Casey
Thanks,
Barley
Casey.
from the Croydon Saints. Great to have her company, and hasn't she been a great player for a long, long time, both at the Warrnambool Blues but also the Croydon Saints?
Oh, yeah, she has. And, you just can't, I'll talk about Millie, but I think she's a very similar sort of player.
Yeah.
She just seemed to be plays a lot taller than she is.
Yep.
Really hard to get past.
A very vital part of their combinations, I think, because it just obviously the way she plays, but also that experience she adds in that as well, and that leadership she has on the court, especially when you've got that young group of kids that are still finding their way, and they follow those really strong leaders, and I see Casey being one of those.
Got a great balance,
Yep,
really, between, youth and experience.
Absolutely. Hey, let's go to the Zoom again. Our next guest, she's back at the North Warrnambool Eagles. It's a name that we've seen many a times before. She's a great netballer, and they're going nicely, the North Warrnambool Eagles. And I speak of Maddie Vardy. Maddie, thanks for coming on the show tonight and having a chat.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Hey, first and foremost, what's it like being back in the region, back at the North Warrnambool Eagles, and I guess back to a setting that's quite common to you?
Yeah, it's been good. It's slower pace than what we've been used to over the last few years, but it's been nice. It's been really good being back around the family and having more help with the kids anyway. It's been nice.
Maddie, I think as you came through North Warrnambool Eagles, you've always been one of the juniors coming through and had a few years off. And I was just looking the other day at all the different teams, and probably North are one of the older teams these days, which is a really bit strange. Got quite a experienced lineup these days.
Yeah, well, we do. I think I started playing senior. I think I got my first game against Port Fairy when I was 13 or 14, and now I'm just turned 30 and I'm still going. And yeah, Rachel Batten and the Billings twins, like, been playing with those girls on and off since we were 12, 13, 14 years old. And now to think we're the oldest and more experienced heads, it's a bit funny, but it's also a bit scary.
Hey, Maddie, the competition's so tight. We're just speaking to Casey before, and you guys, are sitting on 34 points. You're 2 points or half a game off second spot. Your run the last few weeks has been pretty good, and I think you guys are starting to really find your mojo, especially with having probably more of a settled side, because you probably lacked a little bit of settledness in the first early rounds.
Yeah, we did. I think just as everyone in the competition in the early days, COVID was big, and then once COVID sort of started taking a seat, then the flu came in, and then I got pneumonia, and we were still in wedding season, and there was a lot going on at the start of the year. But it's been good now to have everyone fit and healthy, and we've sort of established our strong seven, and we've got a few good juniors that are on the bench for us, which we're also really happy to put on. But it's been really nice over the past four or 5 weeks to have our side in, everyone fit and healthy, because we've been able to really find momentum. And I think that's why each week we're just getting better and better, because we are playing together, knowing each other, set in those positions and finding momentum. Yeah.
Cool. Oh, back to me. I've lost my train of thought now. I was just sort of sitting there thinking, it's been an interesting watch because I do watch him most weeks, and the build of, I guess, trusting one another and knowing where someone else is going to be and when you're passing it on the court. And you've got, as you mentioned, some good juniors there, and it's all a balancing act. Of course, everyone's on the same train now because we need to balance these juniors so that they don't overqualify and these sort of things. So I think every club is in that sort of. But who are some of those juniors that you're thinking that could take the court in the finals if needed be?
So we've got 3 juniors. We had a really good. She's not a junior, but Ash Ferguson. She was probably our 8th player. She did her ankle a few weeks ago. Not a few. I think she was going to be out in a total for 8 weeks. So she was a huge loss for the club. She's hoping to try and get back for finals, but she's going to obviously have some work to do. But the young juniors are Millie Shields, Nakaya Thomas and Emily Saffin. Nakaya started in the mid-court for the year for us, and she was getting quite a bit of court time, but due to the juggle of our team was, Sky was in the mid-court at the start of the year and I was playing wing defence, but then me coming back through the middle, I guess, has sort of pushed Nakaya out, but she's still fighting. She's pushing for a spot and she's determined little thing. And Emily Saffin is this young goaler that she's been playing a lot of Div 1, and we brought her on the court for the last half against Terang, and she just looked like she'd been playing senior netball her whole life. She's just this confident, very ballsy little player, and really good. Really going to be a great future for the club with those girls still coming through. And that's what I just keep saying to our girls, both Sky and I just keep saying, it's pushing us because we've got these juniors just clipping at our heels constantly, and it's good for us, but it's so good for them because they're not going to go down without a fight.
I remember
Neither are we.
when Maddie, I don't know whether might have been the Cobden game, you might have brought Emily on and you gave her a bullet from the centre of the court into the goal chute, and I thought, oh, look out here, and she just snapped it up and put the goal in. I thought, you've made it.
Hey, Maddie, I want to ask you, obviously this week you got the Hamilton Kangaroos, and I guess their form, I reckon, from probably say the bottom 5 has probably been the best out of that bottom 5 sides, and they're sort of mathematically still a chance, a long way to go, but they're wanting to take scalp. So this is a game I feel that they're going to be really pushing for to upset the top 5, but also too, you guys need to continue to play that really good netball heading into the last sort of 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah, 100%. We aren't going into this game thinking it's a sure thing, definitely. I didn't play when we played Hamilton last time. I was away, but I know they had out 4 of their best players. So, we know it's going to be a really tough game. They're going to come out firing, and I know a couple of the girls, like the Somerville girls I played state netball with for a while, and I know the calibre of players those 2 girls are. We definitely won't be taking it lightly, and we know that we don't want to drop an unnecessary game. We know these are the must wins, and then we've got the wins that we also want to we're ready to take on Cobden and South, and we know that's going to be really tough. But I think we are slowly but surely playing our best netball now, and it's when we need to be, I guess. So it's
absolutely
good.
Hey, it's been great to catch up with you, Maddie. I think it's great that you and Nathan have come into the league, back into the league, and set up home here. And I know the North Warrnambool Eagles are rapt to have you both back at the club. So thanks for coming and having a chat with us tonight. Really appreciate your time.
No worries. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Mads.
Maddie Vardy, which is sort of hard to roll off the tongue because we've known Maddie for such a long time. Maddie Smets, but now Maddie Vardy, and we're just so lucky to have her back in the comp.
Oh, absolutely. She's very high calibre.
Yep.
And watch the games. And And I think that's the North. The other girls are lifting around her. And as I said, if someone who puts a bullet pass into you, you take it. And, and then everyone lifts to that level.
Yeah.
And I think, and Maddie's talk on the court is amazing. Like
Leader, tenacious, tough. Like she just has everything you want out of a netballer.
Yeah,
and she leads from the front. And I think that's great for those young kids. And,
it is.
Just got an inkling at the moment. Like I know South's going really well, Cobden's going really well, Koroita playing some nice netball. Could these guys just be the sleepers at the moment? I think their best netball is certainly
their best
capable of being.
Yeah. I think their best netball's good enough.
Yep.
As she said, they've got 7, and that's their probably worry.
Yeah.
You can't afford an injury in that sort of case. That's where South has a little bit over everyone else. They've got
a little bit of depth.
They've got those.
Yep.
What have they got now? 9.
Yep.
That they are rotating, and probably all of them could be a starting 7.
Yeah.
Cobden are building into that. They've got a few players back, and we just never know what Koroita are going to have.
I think it's so open. I think South
Absolutely
are up by 2 games, but I still think it's so open, especially those top 4. I don't think Warrnambool's quite there this year, though. I still reckon they lack just something, but they'll certainly, in my mind, will still play finals.
Talk more about them in the results.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a little bit come to them too.
Absolutely. Hey, let's have a look at last weekend's vision of our highlights of the games. Now, we've only got 2 games, so the first one we'll look at is Terang Mortlake taking on Koroit, and the Saints getting the job done by 21 points, Trish. Started from the get-go with a 17-7 first term and just maintained that throughout the 4 quarters.
Yeah. As we kept saying, Koroit keep building, and they've got some. The one that we haven't talked about much this year is Belle Baker, who's been, best and fairest player right through the juniors.
Great player.
They throw her into goal attack, put her back in wing attack. I don't think she's playing at her best at the moment, to be honest. Saw her play on the weekend. She's playing their Open Champ team, which I'm really happy. And, I think that will help her. Like, she just seemed to have a bit more confidence the weekend. Help the Koroit Saints with her firing. And
the other game here we've got the vision of is Cobden taking on Camperdown. I love what the Camperdown Magpies are doing. They've improved out of sight from round 1. A young side, falling 11 goals short there to the Cobden Bombers. Very tight. Probably that second term where they outscored them 15-8, got on top. Hard to come back from, but they finished off strongly. 11-point defeat. I think they're going in the right direction, the Magpies.
Absolutely, and talking to Dean, she said, they will push those players. Certainly they'll push a lot of teams. They, once again, can't make it, but their best is pretty good.
And the last game we've got the North Warrnambool Eagles and the Warrnambool Blues, and the Eagles getting the job done by 8 goals. Pretty tight game. It was probably that third quarter where the Blues, the last quarter actually, 10 goals to 5. The Blues led at 3-quarter time. So a really good game of netball over there in pretty good conditions too.
Well, sunny in this bit. Okay, later it rained in the second part. This was the first quarter. But big back from the Warrnambool Blues, Emma Cust on the weekend.
Oh, really?
Yes, first game back.
Well, I might just take away what I just said there.
That's what I'm saying to you, that's a big in for them, and, she is dominant in that goal circle. It's a very defensive game, as you can imagine, with both ends of the court there. So quite low scoring. I thought both goalies missed a lot of goals on the day. But that's because of that tight defensive pressure that kept coming on. And it's really hard to shoot when you're being pressured the whole time and then you've got to turn around and put it up. But North drew away in the last quarter and I think it's through. We had some really good turnovers. Yep. Jordan Billings always steps up when you need a little turnover there. Yeah. And Maddie connects down to Sky. Maddie and Sky connecting very well this year.
Yeah.
But so they got away, but it was goal in it all game.
Right, I'm going to retract what I said there. That's 5 at the moment. Anyone can win it because if Emma Cust is back in that side, we don't have a good player she is.
Absolutely. And you know what?
I'll tell you what, a few goalies are going to be going, oh my God, she's back. I'm in for a bloody tough afternoon now.
I think that's what Vic Grundy was saying when she saw her to pull up too. And I said to her after the game, how's your body pull up? She said, I'm good. And I thought,
that's a good sign.
That's a good sign for them.
That's a ripper.
The one we don't talk about much, and I was really impressed with her game on the weekend, was Matilda Fitzgerald.
Yep, nice player.
Goal defence, and with Emma then behind her, not being the main defender on the day, she stepped up on the weekend too. Cool. She made it really, really tricky in that goal spot.
Yeah, cool. Some great games.
Yeah, so it's still tight.
Absolutely.
Tight. Don't put them out.
No. Right, other games we haven't got the highlights for. Portland taking on the Hamilton Kangaroos. Kangaroos, 26-goal winners there. Their form towards the back end of the year has been enormous. Kelsey Lewis shot 40. Emma Somerville best on court. And then the other game, South Warrnambool taking on Port Fairy. The Roosters getting the job done by 23 goals, 63-40. Annie Blackburn best on. Holly Phillips 42 goals. Tara Elliott 29 and Emily Forrest 11.
High scoring Port.
Yeah,
It's a bit like Portland last year, remember?
Yeah,
So
they've been able to score, but just haven't been able to stop.
Can't stop the other end. And they're so tall. Not many people have got defenders that can stop Annie and Holly with their height and the goals.
Yeah, it's a luxury they've got, the Roosters, that is for sure. Now, before we look at this round of matches, round 13 of the Hampton Football Netball League, I'll tell you what, I'm just reflecting on what we've seen the last 2 years. Isn't it great to get to this point of the season?
I was doing the same thing driving here tonight.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's just great to think about, knowing that, we're not going to have any stop-starts or anything like that. It's absolutely terrific. Fingers crossed. Now, before we do, media release today with the Open Association team that has been announced, which will play in Melbourne in 2 weeks' time.
Sunday week.
Will Jamison coaching, Kate Lindsay, the assistant coach, which is great. Let's run through the team, Trish, and who's made it.
Okay, so from Terang Mortlake, Maddie Solly. From Camperdown, Lily Eldridge. From South Warrnambool, Meg Kelson and Carly Watson. From Koroit, Isabella Baker. From South Warrnambool again, Isabella Ray. From Portland, Heidi Jones, and also Remy Grant from Portland. From South again, Holly Phillips. From Cobden, Remini McCann, and from Warrnambool, Sarah Smith.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Very young side.
Oh, super young side.
But I like that though.
We're happy with that. We're lucky to have Mari Wall on our exec. Like Mari has already said to the girls, because often, like, we talk about this being our pathway, and once you get to Open, obviously the pathway is closing down a little bit. But taking a young team down, she's happy to have scouts there who would get them games in Melbourne next year.
Yeah, terrific.
So, so that's still another pathway to them if you don't get picked up elsewhere.
Yep.
So we're really happy with the young team. Saw them train Sunday night, was super excited, actually.
Yeah, that's great. And I love that Will's taken the job on as well. He brings so much experience. Kate's been around the netball for a long, long time. And a nice blend of clubs in there as well. We've got quite a high representation of most of the clubs too, which is great.
We're missing a few clubs, and people will say there's a lot of South. South is sitting on top for a reason. But how was the team chosen? The team was chosen for people who are nominated.
It wasn't a selection process,
no,
so to speak.
No.
It was more a nomination
From
process.
the nominated people, then we selected a team from that.
Yep.
So, and we've asked other people, for various reasons, people are either not available or, and we've been a little while getting out because we had some nominations and picked a team, and then people weren't available, so we've had to
It's a big commitment, there's no doubt about it, because you're playing Saturday netball, then you've got all day Sunday, obviously work and study and all that comes into the mind, and that's so.
You'd like a Maddie Vardy in there.
Oh,
And he's got
absolutely,
two little boys, and they've been there, done that, They
and I think it's,
it's
I
nice.
like it how it's the next generation.
I'm really loving that Sarah Smith's in there for Warrnambool.
Yeah.
It was really lovely to see Sarah put herself out there.
Yeah.
I don't know if she's done it before or been in our rep teams before, and I think, like, training Sunday night, some of those girls would have learnt a lot just from Will, just from that time.
Yeah. The one I love is Remy Grant. I think she's been a great player for a long, long time at Portland.
Absolutely.
And, we probably haven't seen Portland being over-successful, win losses, but she's been a real cornerstone of that team. And I think it's great that she gets an opportunity as well. And even Heidi Jones, from where she gained a couple of games last year, really establishing herself this year. It's it's great. So.
Oh, it was interesting watching Remy. Like, she's got that leadership on the court with that young group.
Yeah.
She will be the leader, I think.
Love it. Fantastic.
Which is great for her.
Good squad.
Yeah.
Good squad. And we'll talk more about that in next Wednesday's program, along with all the junior teams that are going up as well, which is sensational. Right, round 13 action, Hampton Football Netball League. Now, just a quick comment. Last week we had Indigenous round for the Hampton League. You're on the executive. We loved it out at North Warrnambool. Absolutely terrific with the smoking ceremony and everything. And I know there's plans to make it bigger, but I think it's so important that we do recognise this round because, as I said to Stewie on the football program, we are so rich in culture around here, and I think we underestimate the value it actually has in this area.
Absolutely. And I went over and listened to Robbie Lowe, wasn't it?
Yep.
Talking about the story
Yep.
and how the game began there at the North Warrnambool Eagles game in the Bushfield game, and like his great grandfather, I think it was. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, he's the first Indigenous player, Pompey Austin, played at Geelong.
Yep. And it played there and came from that area. So it was a really nice story, and I've enjoyed it. I went over and didn't get out and get the smoke, and I should have got out there and done that. probably needed a bit of blessing. But it'll be bigger and better from now on.
Yeah, I love it. Fantastic. No, you've done well as a Hampton League executive and all the clubs and so forth. That is for sure. Rightio, first game of the day. Warner will take on Terang Mortlake. Huge game for the Blues.
Yeah.
The Bloods, I think, are starting to get back their mojo a little bit after having a little bit of an unsettled lineup. Danger game for the Blues for mine because Terang Mortlake are very capable.
Absolutely. I think very similar. You know, they've got problems in their stopping goalies and shutting them down. I don't think they'll shut down Amy Wormald. So Warrnambool for me.
Yep.
Emma Cuss back in up the other end.
Yeah, it's a nice lineup, isn't it? Croy taking on South Warrnambool, our Hampton League live match today over at Victoria Park.
Big game.
First versus third. The Roosters, if they dropped it, just so to speak, they're still on top of the ladder, so there's not a lot to worry about. For the Saints, though, Casey did say they lose this one, and obviously Cobden in the next couple of weeks as well, and other teams win around them, you can certainly quickly go out of the top three into the lower end of the five. So much at stake for the Saints in this one.
Absolutely, and they both play a very different style of netball, so it'll be an interesting game. South, Croyd's more of that short, sharp, in-under game. South's more up and over, big, long passes. So it'll be an interesting how it pans out. I can't go past South, and I'd like to know who's playing for Croyd on the weekend. With basketball, often
it's always,
You're just never sure, but can't go past South.
Yeah, Roosters are looking good at the moment. Port Fairy, form's been good. They've got a big game, Cobden. It's hard, these guys are sitting on the second ladder, been a great side. But, if they can play the netball they have been, score high, and I guess defence would be the key objective this week to try and nullify as well, they might go okay against the Bombers.
Yeah, that's right. And, as we kept saying every week, they just have to meet a few little goals and get better. 40 goals last week, maybe make it 45 this week.
Yep.
May not beat Cobden. Could put pressure on their percentage, and percentage is going to be really important.
Absolutely. Camperdown take on the Portland Tigers. I think this is one of the games of the round, to be honest with you. Despite both sides sort of sitting 7th and 8th respectively, their netball the last couple of weeks, the Magpies, has been really genuine.
Absolutely.
And the Tigers, they'll want to finish the season on a really good high too.
Absolutely. One into their league to the other. So big trip from Portland across to Camperdown.
It's a Super Saturday game, I think.
Ooh.
I reckon the times have changed a little bit. I think
Maybe.
it is. Usually it is because I know it's a long way from Portland to Camperdown.
And Portland don't have juniors on Sunday, so they'll probably put a few in there. Yeah, you'd be right. But so it's too early to travel too far. They'd have to leave. Oh God, some ungodly hour. Yeah, maybe 5 or 6, and that's too early for juniors. But they'll work it out. But I think Camperdown. I think Camperdown. I'm liking how they're developing.
Yep.
They're bringing their juniors in, and I think we know. Sinnett's a good coach.
Yeah, Leah's a great coach.
And she's getting better all the time. So I'm going to pick Camperdown.
Yeah, and there's a name on there in the open list there who's making a really nice mark on the competition. That's Lily Aldridge too, so a key player. And the other game of the round, there's a couple of them.
Yeah.
Hamilton take on the North Warrnambool Eagles. I honestly think I'm loving what North Warrnambool's doing, but in saying that as well, Hamilton are not going to go down without a fight.
No.
And it could be a tough game at Melville Oval.
It's always a tough drive up to Hamilton, and different courts, and I guess weather factors come into it on the courts up there. It slows North like a really fast-paced game now. Yep. If it's a bit slippery on the courts, that may have to slow that down. So it'll be an interesting game. I'll be picking North. They need to win. They need to win to keep staying ahead of everyone. As Maddie said, these are their must-wins. But yeah, I think it'll be a lot closer than the last time they played them.
Should be an absolute ripper. So 5 great matches in the Hampton Football Netball League for round 13. That just, nearly ends the program. We want to thank our all-important sponsors. We've got Power Core, McDonald's, Sun Gold Milk, Lindock Living, Southwest TAFE, Miss Kit, Jodie Lane, the team with our MVP and also weekly award winner as well. So many great sponsors. We're very, very lucky, and it's great to have them on board in 2022. Trish, we know you're not going to be back next week. You're having another week off. I'll tell you what, you're going to have to put in the leave form. Want to see some documentation here. But we really appreciate you coming in, and we'll talk more about the association champs and so forth next week. Have a great weekend of the netball.
Thank you.
And we'll see you guys next Wednesday night.